An increasing number of Americans are okay with resorting to violence when it comes to expressing their political beliefs. That's according to recent research and new polling. It could be a sign that calls to lower the temperature may be falling on deaf ears. Professor Robert Pape at the University of Chicago found that 10% of American adults, nearly 26 million people, agree that the use of force is justified to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. His research also found on the other side of the spectrum, nearly 7% of Americans, 18 million, agree that using force is justified to restore Donald Trump to the presidency. Instead of settling differences with either a conversation or at the ballot box, some have opted for violence to attempt to get their point across. Shortly after the assassination attempt on former President Trump, President Biden addressed the nation.
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics.
Then, 10 days after Trump's near assassination, a man on an ATV ran over an 80-year-old, putting up pro-Trump signs on his lawn. Police said it was one of 3 politically motivated attacks by the same 22-year-old suspect who later killed himself. It happened in Michigan, the same swing state where, in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election, federal officials arrested several men who said they were plotting to kidnap and possibly kill Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a Democrat. In recent years, there have been several high-profile examples of escalating political violence and threats. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked inside his home in October 2022. A man with a hammer smashed him in the head, and he survived what could have been a fatal attack. In the summer of 2022, police arrested a man armed with a gun and a knife, accusing him of attempting to murder Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Supreme Court police had warned that there was a significant increase in violent threats as protesters showed up at justices' homes following the leak of the Dobbs decision. There's also January 6, 2021, when Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, attempting to overturn the election of President Biden. That same year, the National League of Cities conducted a poll of 112 public officials and found that 4 in 5 said they experienced harassment and threats of violence. With an extremely divisive political atmosphere during this election cycle, is it possible to turn down the temperature? NPR interviewed Rachel Kleinfeld, a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. She said 2 things are shown to work. First, politicians on both sides need to tone down their rhetoric and make it clear that violence has no place within their side. And 2, she says correcting misperceptions makes a big difference because it allows everyday Americans to understand the difference between their neighbors and the leaders. With less than 100 days to go until the general election, Professor Pape's research shows more than half of Americans disagree with any forms of political violence. Unfortunately, it only takes one bad actor to change the course of history, which Americans witnessed on July 13th. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Lauren Taylor. For more unbiased, straight fact reporting, download the Straight Arrow News app.